Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is Joe Scarice, your co-host and co-founder of the Creative Bird Strategy Podcast and House here on Clubhouse every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, providing education, networking, and strategy. We're rolling into season two of our great event. This great podcast. Um, Man, 80 episodes we got covered over the past um, um, what do you call uh, last year. And man, a lot of good education, a lot of good information, a lot of insight. So we'll start inviting some people in. We'll get rocking and rolling here in a little bit. We're going to be discussing, do you have a 2025 real estate investor business plan? So we'll get rocking with that in just a few minutes. Have some great announcements to make. Would love to get these out and and let people know what's going on. What a busy week of decision making. I'm not all about waiting to the end of the year. I like to get shit done, as people would know. So we'll be making some announcements just a few minutes, just pinging some people in, making sure they know we start here now every Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's just a better way of providing what we're doing uh, every Sunday morning. And a couple really cool announcements. First, I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank Lendmark Capital, which is where I'm a senior loan analyst providing asset-based lending nationwide for investors in the investment space for SFR through four family, 5 unit up to 20 unit, mixed use, single family through 25 unit, fixed to rent, fixed to flip, new construction, advisory, real estate strategy, and been with them for the past year, so pretty excited about where things are going for us. Two, I'd like to thank MB Capital, where I am a referral partner in providing unsecured business lines of credit for clients throughout the country, real estate professionals, as well as B2B. I'd like to thank Linda Pelagas of Realty 411, who provides a national publication along with national events throughout the country for real estate investors and um, professionals throughout the country. And I'd like to thank Mr. Yerdal Perkins, a colleague, friend, and business associate provides our social media strategy and architectural to our websites, such as mine, josephscarice.com or creativebirdstrategies.com, and providing all the video work and really the revamping of my social media platform. I thank and am inspired by Yordell's advisory, and he would be a great add to your power team. And some interesting news that I'd like to add. So I'm getting back into running or coordinating or co-hosting or sponsoring local meetups in the New Jersey and Pennsylvania markets. I decided to align with elite deal makers out of Virginia, Mr. Jim Ingersoll, a real estate professional and investor. I felt I met with a lot of interviewed. I saw a lot of the other groups, and I thought it was the best bet. So, first Monday of every month, we will be having a South Jersey chapter of the Elite Dealmakers at Hanfield at the Tap Room. Uh, then also we have in Philadelphia, second Monday of the month, we'll be hosting an event at Newbold Exchange, where my offices are, and that'll be the other elite deal makers. And then eventually we're going to have another one starting the second Wednesday of every month in January. It's we'll be in Lehigh Valley. And so we're really focusing on getting back in front of people. We have a really big asset-based lending fundamentals workshop, which is also going to educate people on white label marketing so you can become your own correspondent or broker with Lendmark Capital. That is on January 11th in 2025. We have a health is wealth to real estate in January of the 6th, which we're really excited about that. We're having that at Restore Wellness, where I have an account and do a lot of health and holistic opportunities there as well. So a lot of things coming to the forefront. Big month of events I'll be attending throughout the region. So I'm pretty excited about that. If anybody's down at Triple Play, of course, please come by. We're having a cigar event next Monday night at the Tennessee Avenue uh, uh, Cigar Company down on Tennessee Avenue, 6 to 9. Over 100 people are currently registered for that event. So I think we're going to have somewhere between 100 and 125 people cutting cigars, networking. So I'm real excited about that as well. So today's discussion kind of ties in, about business planning. And I'm always putting new business planning together, always. it's there's not a day I don't go by thinking of what to do. Having discussions with Yardell about my social media. Retained social media companies, enhancing my brand, enhancing my presence, making sure I have as much control of my data and my social media profiles as possible. So that's a goal I work on almost every day. I work on also my health every day. Eating the right things, going to different health holistic opportunities to get myself feeling better and healthier and being a healthier individual. So I think the real estate business plan of 2025, you should be setting the tracks right now. Like a well-crafted real estate business plan is essential for real estate professionals who set clear goals and stand out in a competitive market and attract clients or attract inbound, inquiry. Research shows that businesses with formal plans are as much as 30% more likely to achieve long-term success, and real estate entrepreneurs with a business plan are 260% more likely to launch. The key to making your business plan work is updating it every single day, every single week, every single month. It's not about just starting at the beginning of the year. Particularly, you gotta embrace AI. It's rapidly transforming the real estate industry and streamlining processes, enhancing customer experiences, and enabling data-driven decision making. So these advancements are reshaping landscape. And now it's more of a perfect time to create or revisit your real estate plan to ensure it leverages these innovations, stay competitive, and aligns with evolving market dynamics. And some updates to the market. The 10-year Treasury has been holding tough. Rates came down just a little bit with some announcements the last week, I'm sorry, below 7%. We're hovering around the 30-year at 6.88. Commercial rates are starting around 6.375. It's going to be very flat, I think, into the new year. I think with the whole presidential reset and the reset of the cabinet, there's definitely going to be some, I think, influences to the market, going into the first quarter. But I've been putting some articles out. I'm very concerned about some delinquencies that are popping up in the retail and in the commercial space. So I don't know how that's all going to shake out in urban and suburban settings and then to the rural markets. Another couple articles that caught my eye this past week as well. Article that I saw on Mortgage Point, which I posted. Investor home purchases begin to plateau. I think that's almost region to region. I see it very hot here in the South Jersey and the greater Philadelphia market. I see the greater Harrisburg market doing very well. In New York area, I see more engaged real estate investors coming off the sidelines, either refinancing or getting back into fixed to rent or back into fixed to flip or getting into new construction. I'm seeing some more new construction inquiries. Pending home sales rise a little bit for the third consecutive month. So I think there's a lot of contradiction because I see a lot of investors buying, not home buyers buying. So the pending home sales, I think, is more investor influenced. Home insurance market stabilized in 2024. I think we're going to have some still concerns lingering for insurance for investors. So definitely, you got to shop your numbers especially on insurance and lending, of course, and making sure you're identifying the right options for yourself. As a real estate investor, a business plan strategy should include defining your target market, identifying a niche investment strategy like fix to flip, buy and hold, or rental properties through market analysis and detailed property evaluation methods. A robust financing plan, strong property management practices, and a well-defined marketing strategy to attract potential buyers or tenants, all while consider risk management and exit strategies. All right, so market analysis, investment strategy, financing strategy, property management, marketing and sales strategy, risk management, and financial projections. And then you also got to keep in mind legal and regulatory compliance, team building, and continuous learning. So there's a lot of things, got a lot of moving parts to be a very successful, well-oiled machine. I think we all know where our weak points are. Okay. And we need to work on those on a day-to-day basis. Okay. So there's definitely goals and a plan to put together for everybody here and to think about when you walk away from this presentation. We'll go with the rose amongst the thorns. Good morning, Amy. Welcome. Brief overview, who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion. Do you have a 2025 real estate business plan?
Yeah. Hi everyone. I am Amy Palvido. I am the chair of the U.S. PropTech Council. I'm also a real estate technology founder, which is my company called Fulfillmac. I always love these planning. I love the fourth quarter because, you get to really kind of reassess where you are and then also kind of plan for the future. I get excited. And I think with everything that's going on technology wise, it's a really good time to be excited, especially in when we're in the real estate market that we're in. It reminds me of, back when I started in 2008 real estate investing. It's different, but it's in some ways it feels the same. There's going to be opportunities ahead, obviously, as we kind of navigate our way through these real estate recession and kind of where we are, and they just might be different. So you just have to be open to it. It's not going to be the same, but there's always going to be opportunity. So to your point, Joe, about AI, I think more and more people should have an LLM as their friend, and should be using it every day. If you even went to ChatGPT and said, "Hey, I'm a new real estate investor, 2025 coming up, and what should my goals be?" ChatGPT will tell you. So you just have to kind of look at it from it's a guide. It does a lot of the grunt work for you, but LLMs are now becoming so powerful that they can do a lot of your menial tasks for you. So even Gemini is becoming super powerful. I think they powered it with Google's phones, but you can use Gemini on any device. But it's really going to be changing, and as more people start leaning on AI to do some of the grunt work for them, they're just going to become more productive. So you don't want to be that person that's like, "Oh, I'm not using AI." Don't be that person, because yeah, while being reminiscent about days gone by is a nice thing to do every once in a while. It's not going to move your business forward. All you're going to do is get left behind by everybody else who's adopting AI. So please, don't do that, because you're going to lose out on deals and you're going to lose out on different things. But you don't even have to have specialized software now. If you want to use AI to, underwrite your deals, you can do that. ChatGPT can do that. You can just teach it how to do it. And it can integrate with Excel and all these other great things. So if you're not playing with these tools now, in about probably 6 months to a year, the people who figure this out are going to be way ahead of you. So that would be my advice to you. But if you want to ask, start learning to use it by asking AI, "What should my business plan be?" And can go from there. But for me, I think it's starting with you always build a business plan on what are my strengths? What do I have? You got to have some sort of strength somewhere, right? Leverage what those are, and how can you build on those strengths? Plus, identify 2 to 3 things that you really want to work on. I don't think you as a person can work on more than 2 to 3 things. So when you assess your business, that's how I would craft it. There you go. Long half a nickel, Joe.
Big time, big time. I mean, listen, I'm watching what you're doing just on LinkedIn alone, and I took some of those elements. I mean, I decided, Amy, it's pretty amazing. I use AI now to put all my events together, and it's like life is so much easier, just getting that done. But like I revamped my PowerPoint for my asset-based lending fundamentals course. I did it all through AI. It was done in like 20 minutes. It spell checked, it detailed everything, and then I send it off to Yordell to bless it, and then it's updated. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. It's an amazing tool, and you can be super productive, and you can produce a lot of content. So what's happening now is, and this is for everybody to kind of know, the days of Google Ads are basically over. And while it might not be over today, it is basically over. In about 6 months, Google's going to have to rethink how they make money, because nobody goes to Google to search anymore. They go, because if you did go to Google, and we just did this last night, my son was like, hey, Google, where is blah, 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 blah. And it came back with some stupid answer. And then we went to ChatGPT and it gave us the answer we needed. And so it's really, it is. So what you're going to have to do is, instead of doing SEO on your website and all these other different things that work, marketing is going to get flipped on its head. And I don't think anybody realizes this is what's going to happen. But now what you need to do is, how do I show up in a chat GPT answer? How do I show up in a Gemini answer? How do I, if someone's looking for something on whatever, how is my company going to show up? And right now, that is not what you do to show up in a Google search. So you're going to have to go and you know what, you want to know how to do it? Go ask ChatGPT. Hey, Chat, if I wanted to show up in a third, how is my company going to show up? And it'll tell you. It'll tell you how you're going to show up. And so a lot of it is through content, and a lot of it is through third-party content. So if you can get a third-party in industry to talk about you, they're gonna see that that's credible. A lot of it's gonna be, yeah, your website, but it's not SEO. It's just about how much content are you producing that they deem as valuable. How many other people are mentioning you? So it really becomes a different way to do marketing, and you need to be looking at that now, especially if you're trying to, like for Joe or for myself or any realtor in the area, if you're really trying to show up in places where people see other online, if you're trying to do it online, Google search is not going to be, it'll be gone. I bet you money in like a year, where people are going to be looking up on Google. I don't think that's, maybe that's a little optimistic, but you need to start looking at how you're going to show up on the AI searches too.
It's funny that you brought that up because I'm getting now that I completed and got my Google business profile all fixed and updated. I'm getting pounded by Google to do some ads with them. And I was having this discussion with Yordell. I'm not feeling comfortable. I feel like you're throwing a big dart in a big valley. There's nothing to hit. I feel like LinkedIn, I think Instagram, I think Facebook ads still have some attraction. I think also maybe even TikTok or YouTube. I just Google is just not what it once was from an ad perspective or keyword perspective. So like I'm looking because now that I'm balancing out my social media platform, Amy, like now I'm saying, okay, what do I do going into the new year and throw some money at different spots to see what works and what doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I still think, real estate is one of those old businesses where it really is networking. And I've always spent a majority of my marketing budget going to events. And it does, it's kind of old school that way. And I don't think that ever changes. I just think the other reach, when you're trying to, especially for you, Joe, when you have a national presence, or like us when we do, you really have to, social media is super key. And I would guess that most of my investors, most of my customers, it's all been through this networking thing through LinkedIn. It wasn't the exact customer or the exact investor I met, but they then referred me to somebody who then became my client, right? Or then became my investor. So it's really super powerful. And if you're not on LinkedIn, you're really just shooting yourself in the foot in the face. I mean, you just are.
I'm still amazed.
You have to be there. You have to be present.
Yeah, I'm still amazed. I'm still amazed by so many people that don't have a corrected or updated profile whatsoever. So they're going to realize they're behind the eight ball on that sooner than later. I'm always connecting with people on LinkedIn and doing a follow up. So I just don't understand. Like I don't connect. I don't go out of my way to reach out to anybody on Facebook. I have 3 full profiles. If somebody wants to connect with me, that's great. If there's a open spot, but I'd rather stay connected with somebody on LinkedIn professionally. I mean, that's my thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and LinkedIn, since Microsoft bought it,
Yeah.
It's getting better and better. They're making constant updates to the platform, and it's making it more engaging and more interactive. and the way that the messaging goes, it's actually I like the things that Microsoft's doing. Now, some of the other things about you only can connect with 200 people a week, I'm a little ticked off about that. But yeah, but the ways you can engage and the ways that they're providing notifications to you on the platform does make it a lot easier to find the right people, if that makes any sense. So yep. As I am constantly searching for, prop tech people and real estate people, those are the people that come up on my feed all the time to connect with. So it becomes easier and easier to connect with them. And I'm not having to pay the whatever a month for Sales Navigator to do it either. The platform's starting to do it inherently. And almost to the point where I don't know if Sales Navigator becomes, I mean, I get what it was trying to do, but it doesn't link to any CRM. So it's like this tweener thing where they were trying to be a CRM for you, but they don't do all the functions. And so I think their eventually Sales Navigator will go away too. I think unless they just revamp it to make it more valuable, because right now it's not super valuable to
anybody. Thank you. Excellent. I love that full dime you gave. You gave 2 half a nickels. There you go. So I did post something recently, and just in a second in my chat box. It is now we're offering Sherwin-Williams and Lowe's discounts. So if anybody is interested in that, we are the only clubhouse room that's now offering a Lowe's discount, as well as discount for Sherwin-Williams paint nationwide. So please sign up for that link. Listen, as 2025 approaches, real estate investors are prepping for another year of shifting economic dynamics, evolving tenant preferences, and continued technology integration. Some strategies adapting to the higher interest rates, prioritizing cash flow, and diversifying your portfolio is the mitigating market risk. So, this is what you have to kind of think deep. Do you want to bring revenue streams in? Do you want to buy investment properties? Do you want to work with more investors? Do you want to be the investor? So there's a lot of questions out there. If you're a licensed agent, whether in real estate or in lending, or you're in property casualty insurance or title, you're still part of the process. You're going to still see opportunities for yourself. So you got to set the plan in place. Next, Rose amongst the thorns. Good morning, Anna. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion. Do you have a 2025 real estate business plan?
Good morning. Yes, actually, I do. Interestingly enough, I didn't for the last couple of years, whereas the first decade of my career, I absolutely did. And then I kind of plateaued and was like, whatever happens, happens. And it's interesting because in the years that I did not have a very specific plan, you get what you get. And if you're not proactive and you're just reacting to what is, it's amazing how different a year can be when you're intentional and you seek out a specific goal versus, doesn't really matter. But I'm Anna Abitamarco. I'm a realtor here in Chester County, Pennsylvania, also a certified mentor and investor, and 12 years in real estate sales. I'm actually heading to New Jersey right now, putting a lot of miles on my car lately because we're looking for a property in New Jersey, and something popped up this morning. So I got in the car and I'm heading over there.
What part of New Jersey, Anna?
Monmouth and Middlesex County.
Okay, that's a hotbed. A lot of people like to situate. Yeah, they like to situate themselves. That whole corridor 287 has just exploded over the last decade. Not just because of Rutgers State University, just everybody's migrating down there comparatively to being in the city, and it's still convenient yet to be back in the city. So it ties into some of the trends that are coming into 2025. Smaller cities are booming, so the surrounding suburban markets, such as Monmouth and Middlesex County outside of New York, are going to do really well over the next year or two. Green buildings are in high demand. Renting is on the rise. Prop tech is changing everything, as Amy was told us. And you got to watch out for interest rates and inflation. Affordable housing is a growing opportunity, and you got to recognize Section 8 as a true opportunity. So get ahead in 2025. So Anna, as a real estate agent, you're up in Chester County for the most part. Are you seeing a shift in the listings or days on the market or potential foreclosures? Are you seeing more investor-centric individuals coming to the front line right now in the fall market, going into the winter? What's your look? What are you looking at?
So the hot properties, the move-in condition, the great neighborhoods, the ones that were ridiculously hot continue to be. They continue to have multiple offers. They continue to go well over ask. Yet the properties that are, further out or not such great shape, they sit a little bit longer. It's amazing to me, though, that the properties that are hot, the interest rate doesn't seem to bother that buyer at all. I would say there's fewer showings though, on average for my listings, yet we're still accomplishing, multiple offers and over ask.
Interesting. Yeah, I think if somebody's determined to buy a property, they're not going to get caught up on a 7% rate. I think they're going to get caught up. Are they buying it correctly? Did they do the proper inspections? Is it a place where I'm going to live for the next 10 years? Maybe capture a better rate over the next couple of years as we have a shift in the political platform. Yeah, I mean, I'm not in the home buying space anymore, but I am talking to loan officers that broker loans to me, and they're having a hard time. They're not, they're falling on the sword and saying, hey, listen, I better, wrap my arms around investors right now because that's where my bread's going to be buttered. They're outlining their own strategy in their mind as we go into the winter market, embracing, and becoming resilient and fostering adaptability. So, you know, I encourage everybody to have curiosity and practice on reflective thinking and developing emotional intelligence and prioritizing collaboration and master technology literacy. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of people out there that don't want to see you do well. Okay, it's a fact. Okay, I have a lot of them, and that's okay. They help you be a better professional. You know, the haters will hate, and that's fine. I respect them for what at least they have something, they feel something toward me, whether it's, it's not a good thing, but nothing I can do about that. But what I do say is, nobody is jealous of the hard work that you put in to get to where you need to get to at the top. They're all jealous of when you're at the top. They don't get jealous of what you had to do, especially like athletes. Like, oh, that athlete sucks. But do you know what it took to get that individual to where they had to get to be a professional athlete? Yeah, you didn't want to do that. You just look at the glory of it all. Like everybody likes the glory of it all. I don't really find uh, that to be smart long term because you know what? I really try to stay away from the whole jealousy factor. I'm more of a territorial kind of guy. You know, I don't get caught up with what people are posting on Facebook and LinkedIn. I look at more the intelligent parts of what's being posted and the creativity being used, like AI being used. So I say to myself and say to anybody here listening, you need to shift your mindset, and being healthier clears the mindset. Like I'll give you a brief example, and then we'll go to our next guest. I had somebody that probably didn't do such a nice thing about me in the past couple of weeks. And I thought about it the first night that I saw that being said, something being said or being done, and I just kind of like, I'm like, you know what? Why retaliate? Why retaliate? What purpose would that serve? Nothing, nothing. And in 2 weeks, no one's going to even remember it. Right? It's like, okay, move on. Okay, there might be some pissed off characters in the immediate, but at the end of the day, silence sometimes answers all questions or concerns. So by me being silent and not saying a thing about the negative connotation that somebody had about me, it allowed me to move forward and just keep doing what I'm doing. I feel like I'm in the life of the Matrix, just pushing bullets at from one side to the other. And I think you need to kind of have that mindset that it's life's all about the Matrix and just pushing bullets to the left or to the right. Uh, so I mean, you got to get in the right set of mind. I know we're coming up on the holidays. There's a lot of things moving along, but you got to focus. You need to really get yourself in check and clear and clarity health wise because all your fortunes and all your opportunities are going to, if you have full clarity, you'll see the opportunities. Mr. Martella, welcome back. Brief overview who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Do you have a 2025 real estate business plan? And who did you have dinner with last night? People want to know.
Who I had dinner with. It was a bad lapse of judgment. Having dinner with someone who claimed to be Joe Scarice, but you almost bought me dinner because I forgot my wallet. I had to turn around halfway home.
Hey, I have family members that pull that off. They just don't come with wallets when they come out to dinner. You join the gang. It's all good. So, I mean, you've been listening to a lot of this, and you're not a real estate agent, you're a investor, but you have a real estate business plan for 2025, right? And it obviously has something to do with some, giving back, in the real estate landscape for people to be mentored or lightly coached. But like from your personal perspective, what's the business plan that as an investor, what should you be thinking? And like, what are you thinking?
So, as a business perspective, do I have one for 2025 yet? The answer is no, right? And I'm a last minute person, which is something that I need to change, right? But I can tell you last year was the first year that I sat down and I actually wrote a business plan, right? And it wasn't just investment wise, it was also personal wise, right? It was what is my stock portfolio going to look like next year? What's my goal there? What rental properties, to purchase X amount of rental properties. However, if the opportunity doesn't come along, well, then the account needs to look like this amount to set me up for the following year to purchase, right? So it allowed me to stay disciplined uh, and in my margins, right? Because some people will write a plan and say, "Oh my God, I wrote that I have to buy 2 rental properties, and I didn't buy any. I'm a failure." Well, no, you stuck to your discipline. You didn't find a rental property that was worthwhile, right? It wasn't out of fear; it just didn't make sense. So you don't want to get into. I always like to stick to my guns, right? Stick to my discipline. So I give myself 2 outs. Um, so you know, so I actually my goal was to buy 1 property this year. I bought 2 because it made sense. And I'm going to do the similar. The important is, at least for me, was to write, hey, this is where I'm at, whether it's property count, dollar wise, revenue cost. This is where I want to be by the end of 2025. So when you're looking at that paper, you have it all right there in front of you, and to read it almost every day. Right, I have it printed out. It's on my desk. It's buried right now. I probably haven't looked at it in a couple of weeks. Um, and one thing that you and Amy mentioned was you need to readjust. You do need to readjust, right? Because what makes sense today is not going to make sense 6 months from now or 7 months from now. You might have to readjust. Interest rates might dip and the opportunity becomes good, or interest rates might go up and it doesn't make it feasible, right? Or whatever the case is, right? The landscape is going to change, right? The world doesn't stay stagnant, right? We might be in the middle of World War III, we might not. So you don't know what's going to come, but you need to be able to adjust and you need to build your plan with that mindset that you can adjust as you go along, that it's not necessarily in stone. That's my opinion.
Yeah, it sounds like you're learning and developing towards 2025, embracing some mindset shifts. So, I mean, you obviously have a good W-2 position, but you're not trusting it in the sense of like that's your make all break all. You're looking to kind of like focus on both yourself personally, physically, and health wise, and then by then rolling out more opportunities, whether it's private lending, whether it's acquisition, if the deal makes sense, there's a certain return that you're looking for, right? And developing, and problem solving, like what are the problems that are in front of you, right, on your properties, right? And then, most important is curating ideas how to kind of create more revenue. Like what you made this past year. We talked about it last night. What do you want to make next year? You know,
Right.
what additional tax deductions can we come up with too at the same time? So otherwise, your CPA might do like a samurai Harry Carry on you. So
Yeah.
I mean, have you thought about that? I mean, do you think if you get to a certain point of ownership of real estate that it's too far out of reach for yourself to manage?
Uh, yeah, listen, I thought about that, right? And that's a conversation that comes up with the mastermind that I hold at the RIA, right? How many is too much with a W-2? Personally, I also have to look at, I could retire in 4 years and 10 months or whatever, something silly like that, right? So I'm on a downward path where I need to figure out what does that look like, right? And in 2025, I'll have 3 years and 10 months left. So, when retirement comes, I should have a bunch of time on my hands, hopefully, to manage the properties full time. Um, and and I'm gonna roll with the punches and take it until I can't take it anymore. I want my full time job. I mean, this month, as we discussed last night, I would call it interesting, right? I had a microwave go bad. I had two heaters go out at the same time. I had, a backup into one of my properties from the main line that I had snaked out 6 different times to finally get it scoped and find out that it's a break in the street where it's township's responsibility. So now I have to work on that, right? And I would say, thousands of dollars in unexpected expenses had to come out, right? And being prepared for that. But on a plan, even a business plan, and you mentioned it earlier, Joe. You talked about health and all that other stuff, right? And personal goals there. Your business plan needs to include self care. In my business plan, I have, for 2024 was reconnect with some childhood friends that I haven't had time for, right? And there was a video that I was watching. I've been watching, right? It's just an old video. It's a professor with a bunch of students. He puts a bunch of golf balls in a jar, and he says, "Is it full?" And they say yes. And then he takes a bunch of little rocks, puts it in. It goes in between all the golf balls. The extra students, "Is it full now?" They say yes. And then he takes a sand and he puts it in between all the golf balls. He goes, "Is it full now?" They say yes. And then he talks about, he takes a beer and he pours it out, right? And he talks about the big golf balls or all the major problems, the rocks are, the minor problems, the sand is all the small stuff that gets in between. And don't wrap yourself around the small stuff because it's always going to be there. But the beer represents, you always need to make time for a friend. And that kind of hit home for me, right? So reconnecting with friends, educating myself. What did I want to learn, right? And getting myself some sort of education, regardless of what it is, whether it's recreational or business related. Make sure you're always working on your mind. And that's kind of what my plan wraps around, right? We could always talk about going to the gym more, weight loss, and all that other stuff. But what does that weight loss mean, right? Are you going to give yourself an attainable goal? Are you going to say, hey, I want to lose 50 pounds in a year? What does that mean, right? Is it a pound a month? Is it 2 pounds a month? 2 pounds a month is usually doable, right? And try to keep along and celebrate those goals as you get along. So that's kind of what I think a business plan should do, because it has to have an element of self-care. Because if you're just working on the business, then what about you? And what happens when you break down?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest sentence I think in my mind as you're saying this, Joe, is you become what you think about, right?
I
It's
agree.
I mean, it's almost like a mindset makeover, um, in different shades and shapes and sizes. Mindsets can be viewed through, several lenses, including optimistic versus pessimistic, or fixed versus growth, and scarcity versus abundance. Um, you know, no, what happened over the past couple of weeks with me, and I could have went a couple different ways professionally or personally, and I just didn't. I just stayed on the professional route. You know, I run into that something relevant like that almost once a month, and I could either be the bull or be the bear. You know what I mean? Of it, or just don't even bother. Just like true lions or lionesses don't listen to dogs barking. So, how do you, as an investor, stay undistracted from all the stuff that's being thrown at us on a day-to-day basis? Like, how do you decompress and kind of sit down and get yourself focused with yourself and your portfolio? Like, what do you do as a real estate investor? You get up, it's a Saturday. What do you have a set of plans that you're going to go after? As a real estate investor, comparatively to somebody like myself who's a real estate service.
Yeah. So listen, I ran an organization for several years with 340 people within my organization, right? That all reported to me. there was always something disparaging being said by the boss about the boss, right? And initially it cuts you and it annoys you, but you just need to be able to get, and it's a term that I really hate that the current generation, right? You need to get yourself into a safe space, and just, you have to find whatever your outlet is, right? And whether it's sitting alone, reading a book, purging it, meditating, or just going out with friends, or doing something different, or some people go to the gym and that's their outlet. I mean, I necessarily don't think that it's the gym, right? Because that doesn't work out your mind. It works out your stress and your muscles, but it doesn't think with the mindset of things, right? You have to keep your mind sharp. Your body sharp, but your mind sharp as well. So, um, you have to find what works for you. Um, you talk about going to cryo and all these other things, right? That works for you, right? But you have to be able to shake it off in some way, shape, or form, right? And you go to the gym and get yourself physically exhausted, but when that recoups, are you mentally ready to think about that again, or take on that specific problem, right? And you got to let the moment pass. Sometimes it's 1 or 2 nights sleep before you think of a and like something that doesn't need an immediate need, but you sleep on it for 1 or 2 nights and then see if it still bothers you, right? My grandmother used to say, count to 10. When you get really angry, count to 10. And if that didn't work, count to 20, right? And don't take that immediate reaction, because that immediate reaction may cause regrets down the road. And you need to be able to persevere all of that, right? At the end of the day, the high road is the longest, but it also gets you there where you need to be.
It's great stuff, man. You can't manage what you can't measure. That's a famous quote from Peter Drucker. Action, law of diminishing intent states that longer you wait to act on something, the less likely you're going to do it. And association, the people you surround yourself with have a profound impact on how you think. Awareness, action, and association, and affirmation. The key role of faith in shaping mindset can not be overstated, right? If you notice all the top motivating successful people, they believe in a higher power. Whatever that higher power may be, they believe in it. And they reinforce it with their discussions. I mean, if you listen to Jordan Peterson, you could almost go into tears, right? Or Les Brown, you could almost go into tears because of the sincerity that the discussions they have about their past, their present, their future. Um, I wish more people took affirmations in shaping their mindset. I think there'd be a lot less problems on a local or regional environment for people to succeed in what they're doing as a real estate professional. Any final thoughts to that, Joe?
No, I think it's a really, really good, deep discussion that we had.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we don't always have to jam real estate down everybody's throat, all right? I like to know how people are thinking, like what makes a real estate investor tick, right? That would be more of a question because we're all trying to figure that out. Whether we're the service provider, whether we're the investor themselves, whether we're working with other investors. Like we were talking about some of the plans I have going into the new year. I plan on investing and opening a real estate office with a couple people in New Jersey and PA. I plan on accelerating the title business and plan on accelerating property and casualty insurance as another revenue stream. So I'm seeing revenue stream opportunities, and then the white labeling of lending for aspiring brokers and correspondents, and giving them the opportunity that I was once given to work with a direct lender and have those benefits by making origination. So there's that right there is 4 or 5 new revenue streams I want to accelerate, but I have to surround myself with the right people that I can trust that represents what we're trying to do correctly. And if they don't, it fails, right?
Right, and that's part of the key there too, right? And a lot of people don't look at that, right? What makes this person tick that either I want to do business with or they want to do business with me, right? There was a wholesaler, to remain nameless, that was putting videos out, and I was showing it to you. I sent it to you and another colleague, right? Hey, look at this guy. He's pretending he's driving an expensive car, but when he gets in, he's getting into the passenger side, and then all of a sudden he's driving. And then the other one, hey, I'm such a guy, he's from Jersey, and he's by a car, and they glimpsed over a little too far, and he has Texas plates by this expensive vehicle, which, don't believe everything that you see, right? And you really need to get into not just what necessarily makes this tick, but you're doing business with somebody, right? You're in essence getting into bed with someone. You need to know who you're getting into bed with, and you need to know who you're doing business with. I mean, I value my integrity, right? And I won't do dirty business. And I'm not. And if people are making money off of you, you need to make sure you're dealing with someone with integrity, right? And has the right stuff, which is why I reluctantly hang out with you sometimes.
I have pictures. So what I take from what Joe's saying is risk, reward, and return dynamics. These are very important factors for real estate investors or real estate service providers. Nobody works for free, and nobody should work for free. And you need to put a cost and a value to your time and what you do as an advisor, as a strategist, as a service provider, as an investor. You got to put pen to paper. Okay, understanding the mindset and the motivation. Nobody has a class on becoming motivated. You need to be motivated and be part of the motivation. You need to get other people around you motivated, inspire or aspire as a real estate plan. That's half the battle. If you find the right drums to beat, everybody will come by. Stephen, thank you for your patience. Brief overview of who you are, what you do, and thoughts to our discussion this morning. Do you have a 2025 real estate business plan?
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, this is Steve Franco, REI Homepage. I'm an investor and a broker up here in PA, and I'm trying to build more into things like your white label program and trying to build more into, service opportunities. I have a very clear education as well. And I have a very clear 4-year plan of where I want to be in September of 2028. In terms of the level of freedom, the level of income, I have all that mapped out, and I'm backing that down. It's no longer 4 years away; it's now 3.5, basically. I've gotten that map pretty well in 2025, and there's some key for me metrics. The first one has been my foundational software, especially listening to a lot of what you're doing with your social media, getting more active with social media, driving into a CRM software, really using the CRM software, getting that together. What are my team members in the different areas? How am I getting out there on education? How am I growing or continuing the wholesale and broker side of things? And also with some cash that I'm freeing up for 2025, okay, what can I do with that to maximize getting me to that goal in a couple of years? And that really for me has boiled down to, and also for the first time in my life at 53, it's sad to say this, for the first time in my life, focusing on the personal health side of it, realizing that, okay, eat right, stay fit, die anyway was a great motto back in the 80s when I was in television, but maybe not so much as I'm starting to hit that age where everything hurts. And I won't be around to enjoy what I'm planning if I don't do it right. So for me, it's a lot of examining what the business plan that I'm building, and I'm building this year's business plan now. I got the bigger one, now I'm backing downward. And it's a lot of examining, okay, when those 4 years come, I won't be totally passive. But what am I wanting to do? Am I wanting to be driving to property every day? Am I wanting to be this? Am I wanting to be that? Okay, so I want to get more into things that I can run from a desktop. I want to get more into things that I can run through relationships and teams that I put together. And actually, a couple of the income streams you mentioned, I have in next year's plan, not this year's plan. But how do I do that? And for me, it all drove from what's the big plan? Where do I want to be in 4 years? What's my reason for that? What are my whys for that? And then back to, I need more property investment. I need more semi-passive management level income. I need to be out there more in the education and the visibility space for providing consulting and other services to other professionals, which in my case all came down to fundamental CRM software and fundamental, I know a fair number of things, but I don't know a fair number of people that know that I know these things. Like how do I increase my value so people call me and say, hey, you're the guy I want on this team, or how do we pull this off? So it goes into, I think, my suggestion is the 2 cents is, where do you want to be, not just maybe in a year, where do you want to be in 3 or 4 years? And then back that off. Every war was won, but World War II was won by deciding we wanted to get to Berlin. and then they backed it off. What does that apply to in your world?
Excellent points. Excellent points. And my take from what Steve was saying is one, make a plan. Two, know your market. Three, be honest. Four, develop a niche or niches that makes sense, that have proper overlap, that makes sense together. Encourage referrals, making introductions. I mean, it's not hard to make an email introduction. If anybody would like me to make an email introduction to someone, let me know what you're looking for, and I'll make that introduction. It's one new person you haven't met before. Let's make that happen on Monday for everybody here that's listening in. Stay educated, understanding your risks, and then investing into a power team. Not just one person. Invest into your power team. Have a gathering with them. Have a wine and cheese little celebration. Have a health and wealth night, or have a mastermind, or grab coffee with somebody just to find out what's going on with what they're doing. Part of real estate motivation is understanding the risks associated with investment as an investor-friendly individuals. This is Burr. We're all about investment. Once you learn this, you can work on mitigating all of them. You'll understand, without risk, there's no such thing, right? Every investment has some form of risk. There's no sure thing. And that's how you have to look at your real estate business plan over and over and over again. Let's go back to our ladies and get some final thoughts on our discussion this morning. Do you have a 2025 real estate business plan? Amy, why don't we get any additional final thoughts? Amy, you're there. Going once. Amy going twice. There you go.
Okay. All right. My phone's being weird. Sorry. Final thoughts. I would say no plan is better. I mean, any plan is better than no plan. What you're doing when you're planning, honestly, truly, you might feel like it's futile because you'll throw it out of the window in the first week. But honestly, it's the process. And you got to trust the process that when you're planning and thinking strategically, you're going to be much better off than if you're just winging it. You're talking to a professional winger, because that's what I usually do, is I just wing it. And I've never had such a powerful year as I did this year. And what I did was, at the beginning of this year, my theme was to be intentional. And so every goal that I had, everything that I set out was to around this theme of be intentional. And so on LinkedIn, I purposely grew that following. I focused on LinkedIn. I started at the beginning of last year with about 5,000 followers. I now have close to 12,000. Every time somebody connected with me, I sent this little note like, hey, thank you for connecting with me, but my 2024 year resolution is to actually meet the people in my network. So if you're game, here's a link to my calendar. Let's get on a meeting. And I haven't counted it. I was going to wait till the end of the year to count it, but I kind of counted it maybe a month or so ago. I'm at 1,200 meetings, 1,200 people, new people that I did not know prior to the beginning of this year. And those 1,200 people have connected with me, other investors, other customers, other potential business partners, just because I gave them a link to my calendar. And it was no joke. There was no CRM system doing this. This was me copying and pasting in LinkedIn. Hey, here's this message. I've grown the community, the PropTech Council community that way. I've done everything that way just by being intentional. So if I were to say anything, obviously have your plan, but, picking a theme doesn't hurt, and setting your goals around whatever kind of theme that you want to do. I think I'm keeping this one. I think I'm going into 2025 doing this and probably building upon it, but because it's been so helpful for the year, for sure.
Thank you, Amy. Anna, your final thoughts do you have a 2025 real estate business plan?
I would say shut out the noise, right? Get very granular, very specific. Choose your one thing. Don't worry about all the things. Don't worry about what everyone else is doing, right? Just identify your one thing that you are going to be mastery level at, and, get very intentional and just focus on that and not all the noise.
Excellent. It's so funny. I reminds me of somebody that I used to speak with. I used to take courses with Landmark, and we always talk about keeping the noise level down, keeping it a little quieter. Work in an area where you can focus a little bit.
So I guess we have the same brain in that regard.
Yeah, I took a whole bunch of courses there. Kind of woke me up. I took this really cool course called Direct Access. So that's what when you said those things, it kind of rang a bell in the past. Things that you learn, man. You bring it to the front on different times. Depends on the day. And if you step on attack in the morning, you might have a shitty day. Who knows? But you just get through it. And biggest thing I could tell anybody, talking about this, don't put it out there on social media if you're having a bad day. If you have bad thoughts about somebody, keep it to yourself or vet it out with somebody else that you trust. Don't put it out where it's imprinted and people see it, and then they change their thoughts about who you are and what you do. That's probably the biggest thing I think you need to look at from a real estate business plan. I think people have vast knowledge and pretty much useless information and or put their worldly opinion out a little too harsh on social media places, and it changes what others think of you and what you might think of yourself over after that conversation. You might have a level of regret. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't have any regret, but you know, there's real estate goals that you need to think about. Portfolio diversification, developing your network, appreciation, streamlining workflow and efficiency, investing in yourself from a health perspective, the retirement planning. What does the revenue stream look like as you progress, and educating yourself, right? And understanding tax benefits, right? And keep learning about real estate investing and timing out goals, working smarter instead of harder, and setting a net worth goal for yourself year to year or quarter to quarter. Like, what do you want to make every month? How many closings do you want every month? How many new clients do you want to take on every month? It's not even by the year. It should be by the month or the week, what you're doing, or the quarter. Joe, some final thoughts to our discussion. Do you have a 2025 real estate business plan?
Yeah, no, really good discussion, Joe, and like I said before, good and deep discussion on things you really need to hunker down and think about, right? Because we talk about a business plan, but it's wrapped around you, and you need to think about a lot more than just business, right? So, be careful on who you socialize with. Be careful on the advice that you take. Be careful on the social media you watch. Some of it's just blue sky, right? BS. So just, stick to your plan, adjust it as needed. Don't get too hard on yourself. If things beyond your control get you off of it, just readjust and move on.
Excellent stuff. Steve, some final thoughts. Do you have a 2025 real estate business plan?
Yeah, I think the biggest final thought is, and you brought it up a couple times, is evaluate your team, not just for a matter of who doesn't fit, who isn't in the right place, or and realize what they're not fitting, that may mean that they're not in the right part of your operation. They may be a great person, maybe they're not an acquisitions leader, they're a distribution leader, whatever. But also, look at, okay, who is missing on my team? What does my social media professionally, you've got Perkintech, that he has some other ideas of who else to add to that team. Evaluate your team on a probably quarterly or at least twice a year basis to say, okay, is this person performing as well as they should? Am I helping them perform as well as they should? Are they the right one for that role? Are they the right one for my group? Because that's really what I've realized in the last 6 months, in my last 6 months of looking back, is I've got some member changes that I need to make. I've got some cleanup to do there, and I've got some areas where I'm not giving them what they need in order to let them succeed the best. So, your team is also about how you feed your team. That's kind of my last couple sentences.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Steve. And what are the goals for your investing space comparatively to your service space? If you're a service provider, are you trying to provide it back to yourself? I mean, with all these new things that are in place with the NARS lawsuit settlement and AI and technology, you might be your own best customer, and you might create and manifest that karma in if you're walking the walk, now people see that you're walking the walk. They want to hang with people like that walk with extreme confidence. People sense that. They have intuition. Wow, there's something up about that guy or that gal. Justin, I know you jumped in late here. Any thoughts to 2025 real estate business plan?
Yeah, Joe, I'm sorry I'm super late on this. I'm gonna be going back to listen to this today. Uh, but I listened to a few final thoughts. Sounds like so. Um, Definitely cleaning up the shop, adding some help amongst my team, and incorporating technology to make things lighten the load on myself in a lot of ways. So I'm gonna keep it real short, man. I wasn't here to share with you guys though, but man.
Thanks a lot, Justin. Appreciate that. I want to thank our sponsors today, as always, Miss Linda Pelagas with Realty 411, national publication, national speaking opportunities with her. And I'd like to thank Mr. Yardell Perkins, as I call him, the Oz behind the drape, the social media architect to this podcast, my social media platform, websites, as well as great business confidant to go over a strategy of social media opportunities. And then I'd like to thank Lenmark Capital, where I'm a senior loan analyst, providing nationwide asset-based lending for real estate investors, as well as a white label marketing program for aspiring brokers and correspondents. I'd like to thank MB Capital. MB Capital is an unsecured business line of credit program that I'm a referral partner, providing unsecured business lines for investors throughout the country. And then I'd like to thank Elite Dealmakers, where we are now in New Jersey and Pennsylvania along with them. With Mr. Jim Ingersoll, we're going to be offering Sherwin-Williams discounts and load discounts as members of the Elite Dealmakers. We'll be having meetings in Philadelphia and also in Haddonfield, New Jersey, and Lehigh Valley. We'll also have a bunch of other events coming up. We have the asset-based lending fundamentals workshop coming up in January. It's a do not miss. Come down for the weekend. We're probably going to do a rehab van tour or caravan tour to look at properties as well. So it's going to be not just the class itself. We're going to probably have breakfast, lunch, and then go out and look at a couple properties locally, and getting people interested in understanding the ideas of what a renovation looks like, whether it's a burr, whether it's a fix to flip. So we've got a lot coming on over the next 30 to 60 days. I appreciate everybody's engagement. We're in season 2 of the Creative Burr Strategy House here on Clubhouse, as well as on our podcast. You can find all our downloads on creativeburrstrategies.com right above. And I want everybody to have a beautiful Sunday morning. We'll be back next Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, with another great subject of education, networking, and strategy. And I will be ending the room in the next 30 seconds with my quote: the only person you should try to be better than is the person you were yesterday. And thank you, everybody. Be well, be blessed.